Team 33.
Abysmal. The worst thing I can say about it was that, yeah, there were loud boos at half-time, but they were almost being clapped off at full-time because the fans nearly felt sorry for them.
Team 33. Live every Friday night on OTB Sports Radio. Download the podcast now in the OTB Sports app.
So earlier this week, Waterford's Kevin Moran called time on his inter-county hurling career after 15 years, a 3-time All-Ireland finalist and a 2-time All-Star in both 2012 and in 2017. Kevin is with us now. Nice to talk to you, Kevin.
How are you?
15 years, you had a good old run at it?
Yeah. Too long now, to be honest. But some great days, some great years. Enjoyed it all, I suppose, and I think the time is right to call a halt to it.
When did you make the final decision?
I suppose I only made the real, it was kind of in the back of my head. I was kind of 90% sure that I was at the end of the summer that I was, that was going to be the end of my inter-county career. But I just went back and tried to focus on the club a small bit and went away on a holiday. So just at the end of last weekend, I kind of made up my mind and I suppose put a bit of closure to it, and I suppose it's a little bit of a weight off your shoulders because the decision is made now, and I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah. What have the last couple of days been like? I'm sure there's been any amount of text messages, looking on social media. There's all sorts of tributes been paid to you.
Yeah, look, it's nice, I suppose. Yeah, I'm not really on social media now, but I've got some lovely text.
They're saying nice things, and that rarely happens on social media.
Very rarely, yeah. I got some lovely messages, some odd ones and some surprising ones, but they're all.
Tell us about the odd ones and the surprising ones.
Oh, odd as in I don't know who they were as in that sense, but they sent some lovely acknowledgements, I suppose, and it was all positive. It was nice to read. I didn't expect the amount of messages and well wishes I got off people, and in the school as well. It was nice to from the staff and the principal and the students as well. So it's been a good week.
Be honest now, because you work in one of the great hurling schools in De La Salle down in Waterford. Are Waterford hurlers who work in the school given special treatment?
No, I wouldn't say that.
What would the other teachers say?
Absolutely not. No way. No way. And the kids at the start, I guess the novelty wears out after about a day or two. So they forget all about it. And the principals over the years that have been my bosses and that have been really, really good to me. The staff in De La Salle have been excellent. And I think it's time that I put a little bit more back into the school and the club as well. And I couldn't speak highly enough about the support you get from friends, family, and obviously work is a huge and important thing as well. So it's time to give a little bit back, I guess.
I think so many people around the country feel an attachment with the Waterford side of the last 15, 20 years because of the near misses, but because there were so many great personalities and there was such a mainstay of big matches, Munster finals, semi-finals, All-Ireland finals. You're going into that squad, I think it was 06, and it's a squad with the likes of Milan, Shanahan, Tony Brown, Ken McGrawan, Kelly, Paul Flynn. That's a lot of big personalities in a squad for a young lad to be going into.
Yeah, like you said, I suppose I was coming into, at 18 years of age, into a golden age generation of Waterford hurling, and into a dressing room that was full of guys that I just looked up to and admired so much, and some of the greatest hurlers that played for Waterford. And I guess it was quite easy for me, to be honest, that I had the likes of John and Brian from my own club. I used to travel with them the whole time, and they were the characters of the dressing room, and it helped me seamlessly kind of fit in with the group and things like that. So I made some good friends at the start, guys that were older than me and things like that. And it was nice. It's nice. It was very at the start. The novelty of it was great, but once you got down to it, it was just about they trained hard. They wanted to do better than the previous year and things like that. And I suppose my ambition was just to try and prove myself to them more so than anything, and just try and reach that level that they were at. But
how do you know when you've proved yourself?
I suppose when you're, playing in big games, playing decent in big games in full stadiums, I think is when you've kind of said to yourself, this is what it's all about. And that did take me a couple of years to reach that level. it's it's a massive step up to inter-county hurling, and certainly then the top 3 or 4 teams in the county or in the country is an even bigger step up again. So there's no doubt it did take me up to maybe 2000. I played matches obviously in 6 and 7, but maybe 2008 I started to break into the team after a couple of years, and that's kind of when I really felt that it was kind of I was going the right direction. So that was rewarding, and I suppose that's what any player wants, is just to be part of the big days, and to be playing in front of the big attendances and the atmosphere and experience and all that. And I'm no different than anyone else. I love that up to the end.
We're talking about your start in the inter-county game coming in around 2006, and that development over the first couple of years and trying to find your feet. And they're sort of crazy couple of years for Waterford hurling. In 2007, it's this wondrous summer to start with, where Dan Shanahan is in the form of his life, scores that 3-3 in the Munster final against Limerick, goes on to be named Hurler of the Year, working under Justin McCarthy. Like, coming into that squad and be given your debut by such a legendary figure as Justin McCarthy, what sort of early influence was he on your career?
Yeah, like you said there, it was 2007. One of my first championship starts was that Munster final, so that was unbelievable just to experience that at such a young age and get a Munster medal at a young age. And unfortunately, I didn't get too many more after it, but it's Justin was really, it was really good to me. I suppose he called me in. He called me in before when we were away on a training camp, and just kind of, was very honest and kind of gave me an awful lot of confidence, saying, this is, looking at the likes of Tony and the likes of Brick and these guys, that's where you should be aiming to strive to be in a couple of years' time. And you're on the right track, and, kind of emulate the likes of those guys, and, you won't be too far off it. And I suppose when he said that to me, it gave me a great deal of confidence after a few months of being in the panel. So those words in that meeting always kind of resonated with me. And, I stuck to it and worked hard on it over the years. Maybe never reached the level of those guys, but the confidence it gave me just spurred me on constantly. So it was nice, and it was nice for Justin to do that, because he didn't have to. It was kind of, I was I suppose a player, just a kind of panel player at the start. Really, I wasn't his top kind of 15 guys, but he over time I kind of fell into his plans a little bit more.
2008 then must have been a really difficult time for you as a young player, because you're still quite new to Justin McCarthy, whereas an awful lot of the players, it felt as though it had come to its end of its natural cycle. And we had Dan Shanahan and Ken McGrath on the show this time last year talking about that summer, and there was a lot of regret in their voice as to how it all fell apart, and the photograph of Dan sort of throwing the hand away. I think he said it was that dreaded picture that he has a huge regret of how that turned out. For you as 21 maybe at that stage, been in the middle of that huge, massive national story and controversy. What are your memories of it?
Yeah, I remember it vividly. Yeah, it was I suppose it was difficult, and you could see how difficult it was for the guys who played under Justin since 2001 or 2002. So look, I was only a small cog in that wheel at the time, and you're kind of not really going with the flow, but you're the guys are that 10 years older than you. They've multiple All-Stars, and they're striving just to go to the next level. And I think that was the main reason. I suppose it was just the maybe to get the final push, I suppose. And it didn't work out, I suppose, the most amicably way. I mean, the media and that, but it these things happen, and something that I don't look back on with a huge amount of positivity about. It was something that wasn't a nice time, and as a young player, it was you just got on with it. And I suppose Davy came in then, and it was a clean slate for everybody. So you forget about it quick enough, as cutthroat as that sounds, but it's the way it is, and I'm sure the guys have a lot of, I wouldn't even say regret, but just the way it finished and things like that. I'm sure it disappointed a lot, and surely Justin himself.
It's funny now with Davy, he's just so omnipresent in our lives. He's almost everywhere you look, you see Davy. Whereas in 2008, he's just retired as a player. He's coming in fresh as a manager. There's a there's a real sense of the unknown, whereas now everyone feels they know exactly what Davy Fitzgerald brings to an inter-county setup, and the intensity that he brings and that initial boost that he always brings. There must have been a certain degree of trepidation that you're going from such an experienced manager in Justin McCarthy to somebody just starting out in Davy Fitzgerald.
Yeah, definitely. And look, for me, it was I wouldn't say a blessing in disguise, but Davy was highly influential with Fitzgibbon Cup hurling, and we just won the Fitzgibbon Cup in 2008. And from that sense, I think he saw a bit in me, and he really, he loved the Fitzgibbon, and he respected the players that went through and won Fitzgibbons, and he kind of related that a lot back to me, even in front of players and things like that at times. So, I think it was he was very good to me.
So, when you say in front of players, would he at a training session would he have singled you out for praise?
Yeah, even kind of just trying to build, I suppose, the camaraderie, and relating it to colleges, teams, and things like that, and just talking about the work that goes involved and things like that. And I can't really remember exactly, but I remember a couple of times he just said it, maybe personally, once or twice, then maybe in the team meeting and stuff. And it was nice to hear, and again, it gave me a lot of confidence. And, he was very good to me as well. Davy was, and it kind of brought my game, I suppose, from the next level to where it needed to be by the time he really got his teeth into the job in 2011 and 12. So it was I suppose it must have been extremely strange for him, being such a young man coming in and dealing with that. But he took it in his stride and went on to be a really successful manager, as we all see, and a really successful person. So look, he didn't bat an eyelid to it, and he brought a huge amount of professionalism and a difference to the trainings. And that summer of 2008, there was a great buzz around, and David brought that single-handedly, in fairness.
Yeah, he certainly brings a buzz, and listen, he brought a lot of success as well. There was a Munster title in there in 2010. There was consistent appearances in All-Ireland semi-finals, and there was, of course, the All-Ireland final of 2008. When you think back to meeting that Kilkenny side up until this year, a team that we assumed were always going to be the greatest hurling side we'd ever seen, and meeting them at full force, how long and how do you get over the shell shock of a game like that?
Yeah, look, again, I suppose I was lucky in one sense that I was so young playing it. That was an extremely difficult time for, and I can only imagine how hard it was on some of the older guys, at the time. As I said, to someone earlier in the week, it wouldn't really affect me that much, kind of my thinking on it. Right, I'm the type of person that goes kind of day to day, and I don't need the bad things get me down too much, nor the good things, when I celebrate them too much. So, I knew that I was going to stick at it and that I had plenty more years ahead. But there and then, at the time, it was just, you knew from after 20 minutes this game is over, and it's just trying to keep your own bit of pride in place. And look, I think everyone recognised the superiority of that Kilkenny team, and sometimes, when you're just in a match like that, you just, you just try your best and realise that you're playing second fiddle here to some really top players. And, we got over it. We played them a year later, actually, in 2009. We put on a really, if you look back in the game, we played extremely well that day. We lost by 4 points and missed an awful lot of chances. And the team was probably starting to go into transition then, in fairness. And, that Kilkenny team went on and won again in 2009. To Tipperary bet in 2010, and I suppose they started to fade away then a bit themselves. That extremely good team, but it was tough at the time. Yeah.
As you say, you seem a very, very level-headed person, and of the 3 All-Irelands, there were the couple of heavy defeats against Kilkenny and then against Limerick in 2020. 2017 maybe was the one that got away. It was the year you were captain as well against Galway, and interesting listening to Derek McGrath talk about your influence after that defeat. And I'm just wondering about the comparison between 08 and 2017 in the reaction in the dressing room, and he said how you just made this brilliant speech with great perspective of what it meant and what you'd actually achieved and the journey you'd been on to even get to an All-Ireland final. And for those younger players, the players who were maybe in a position you were in back in 2008, able to give them a good sense of actually, yes, we haven't won today, but we have still achieved something.
Yeah, look, I suppose it's like everyone wants to, win All Ireland. There's no doubt about it. I'm not saying that I absolutely would have absolutely loved to, but there's more things going on in life than winning All Ireland medals. And we put in a huge amount of work in those kind of 3 or 4 years with Derek, around kind of 15 to 17, and they were the best times of my life, to be honest with you.
Right.
They were so good, and even though we weren't winning All Ireland and things like that, we were just, it was just a great place, it's a great environment. I suppose we had kind of built our own identity from the team of the previous generation. So it was nice. Obviously, yeah, you'd look back at the 2017 final, and there's a couple of things in that game that you say, geez, if that had gone left or right or this or that, who knows, we probably would have went on to win it. But again, look, yeah, I said this quite a bit. You just can't focus on it and beat yourself up too much. If it's, you go out and you try your absolute best, you empty yourself, you do everything you can, you try and be the team player, and there's just sometimes it doesn't happen, and we tried to move on and try and get it right in 18, and it just didn't work out, to be honest. And it just shows how hard for the likes of the Waterfords to go and go to the top level, and unfortunately it's been, they're still waiting to do so.
Those years being the most enjoyable, I'm sure a huge part of it was down to Derek McGrath and his style of management and that sort of emotional intelligence that he seems to have, the connection he can make with players and give them that identity and bring that real spirit. Can you talk about Derek's influence? I know he's a clubmate of yours in De La Salle. You worked together as well. You would have spent a lot of time around him, and just how talented he is as a leader as much as a manager.
Yeah, look, he won't like me, speaking too much about him, but he's. I won a fail in the Gale with Derek when I was 12 years of age, down in Wexford, so I know him that long. He trained us at that age, so he was only a young man, still hurling himself at that time. So, you could tell where his ambition was, and had some great days, winning county finals, and he managed us in 2012 and won a county championship, and was quite unlucky not to win a Munster club. And then he took the Waterford job, and I kind of knew what we were getting when he was coming in, and just listen to him, and he'd be a great person that we wouldn't actually speak a huge amount to each other about things like that, but we both know what each other's thinking, and bounce off each other in a good way. But some great times, yeah. And it was I think any of the lads would say the same. It was a good journey at those years, trying to, coming out of it, again, as I said, a kind of transition period, and just building our own identity and getting back to big matches, and, getting a buzz around the place about the county team. And, I really enjoyed that spell of time.
Yeah, we're all waiting to see what that next big inter-county gig is for Derek at senior level. And listen, if you can have that level of understanding, is that a path you want to go down? Is there a coaching future?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's something I would like to do. I'd like to put in another year or two into playing with the club and giving a little bit more back, and putting in a full season with them before I start going down that route. I think it'd be very hard to mix them, as in play and coach a team and things like that. Yeah. So I think first and foremost, I'll do a bit in the school, doing the Dean or the White Cup team with Philip Manny in the school this year. So I'm looking forward to that with the young lads, the under 15s after Christmas. So they've had a tough couple of years. They've got to do nothing, and really going to put in a big effort with that. But we'll go back with the club and see how that goes. But yeah, it's definitely something I will be interested in down the line, and we'll see how it goes.
And who knows, maybe a bit of punditry, and to start you off in your punditry career, because you're better positioned than anybody. You had the misfortune, I guess, of facing Kilkenny at their absolute peak, and maybe facing Limerick pretty much at their absolute peak as well. If you're going for one or the other, which team do you not want to be going up against? The current Limerick team or that great Kilkenny team?
Oh God, yeah. I think that Kilkenny team were absolutely, they were so good. At the time, they were streets ahead of their generation, And if you look back at the players that and maybe it's that a lot of them that they're all retired now, and you can look back and say how good they were. And you might say the same with a lot of the Limerick players. But I think that Limerick or that Kilkenny team had, maybe 6 or 7 of the greatest hurlers to have ever played the game. So, that speaks volumes for me. But you're right. The Limerick, the path, the trajectory they're on at the moment, who's to say, in a few years' time, it might be the same thing about them. But yeah, they're a really, well-oiled machine, I suppose. And they're extremely, extremely good. And it's going to take a hell of a team to beat them. But for me, the Kilkenny team are still that little bit ahead for now, anyways. But I wouldn't be counting my chickens on whether that Limerick team can or can't do it. But yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully, Waterford get a good run at them and might pip them. But yeah, it's very competitive at the moment, I think. I know Limerick are a good bit ahead, but I think there's some really good inter-county teams out there. So, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next year or two that, someone might take over again. But who's to say? I don't know.
We'll get that Mayo Waterford double yet, Kevin. Here's hoping. Here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Kevin, thanks a lot for joining us, and very best of luck with the retirement, and very best of luck with the coaching career as well. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Cheers.